If you have a bank account and you're over 60, I need you to stop scrolling for the next few minutes because what I'm about to tell you could be the difference between paying your electric bill on time and staring at a locked account, wondering where your own money went. This isn't a scare tactic. This is happening right now to real people in real towns all across this country. And if nobody's told you about it yet, that's exactly why I'm here. Before we go any further, hit that subscribe button. Because the truth is, nobody in the mainstream news is covering this the way you need it covered, and you deserve to hear it straight, without the jargon and without the runaround. Here's what's going on. Starting this year, more than half the states in this country passed new laws that give banks something called safe harbor protection. In plain English, that means your bank can now freeze your account, delay a transfer, or hold your money for days at a time, simply because they suspect, not know, suspect that you might be a victim of fraud. And here's the part that should make your blood boil a little. They can do this without ever calling you first, without a court order, and without any real fear of getting sued for locking you out of your own life savings. They're protected. You're the one left standing at the pharmacy counter with a declined card, wondering what on earth just happened. Now, I want to be fair here, because this isn't some evil plot dreamed up in a boardroom to make your life harder. These rules exist because elder financial fraud has exploded. We're talking billions of dollars a year stolen from seniors through scams, fake grandkids calling for bail money, romance scammers, and fraudsters posing as government officials. The banks and the regulators looked at that number and decided something had to change. And in a lot of cases, these new rules really do stop a scam before it drains someone's account. But here's the problem nobody's talking about, and it's the reason you're watching this video right now. The same systems built to catch criminals are catching innocent people too. Ordinary folks, people like you, sending a completely normal transfer to your own son or your own daughter, or paying for your own grandson's tuition, and getting treated like a suspect in your own life. Let me paint you a picture, because I think you'll recognize this. Say you decide to send $5,000 to your daughter to help with a down payment. You've done this kind of thing before. It's your money, it's your family, it's nobody's business but yours. But this year, that transaction might get flagged automatically before a single human being ever looks at it. An algorithm decides your transfer looks unusual. Maybe because it's a bigger amount than you typically send, maybe because you logged in late at night, maybe because you used a new phone your grandkids gave you for Christmas. And just like that, your account goes into what's called a protective hold. Not because anyone did anything wrong, because a computer got nervous. And I want you to sit with this next part for a second, because it's the piece that really gets under people's skin. Once that hold goes into place, it isn't a quick fix. We're not talking about a few hours of inconvenience. Under the new brokerage rules that apply to what regulators call specified adults, that's anyone 65 or older, banks and investment firms can hold your money for up to 14 or 15 business days while they investigate. And if they're still not satisfied, if they decide to loop in adult protective services, that hold can stretch even further, sometimes another 30 days on top of that. Think about what that means for someone living on a fixed income. 2 weeks without access to your own money isn't an inconvenience. It's the difference between making your mortgage payment and getting a late notice. It's the difference between filling your prescription on time and going without. Now stay with me, because there is something coming up in this video that most seniors have never even heard of. One specific thing you can do, completely free, that can turn a 2-week freeze into a 15-minute phone call. I'm going to walk you through exactly how it works. But first, I want you to understand the full picture of how these systems are watching your account, because knowing what triggers a freeze is half the battle in avoiding one. Banks in 2026 aren't just looking at how much money is in your account or how much you're spending. They're using something the industry quietly calls behavioral monitoring. Essentially, they're learning your habits so closely that they can spot the moment something feels different. How fast you type, what time of day you usually log in, which device you use, whether you tend to check your balance once a week or once a day. All of it gets fed into a system that's trying to build a picture of normal you. And here's where it gets frustrating. If your normal changes for a completely innocent reason, the system doesn't know that. It just knows something's different, and different means danger in the eyes of an algorithm. So think about this. Maybe your hands aren't as steady as they used to be, and your typing speed is slowed down. Maybe your grandchildren surprised you with a new tablet, and now you're logging in from a device the bank has never seen before. Maybe you've started using an app like Zelle or Venmo for the first time because your daughter showed you how, and suddenly you're sending money in a way you never did before. None of that means anything is wrong, but to a system trained to catch fraud, it can look exactly like the early signs of a scam. Because sadly, those same patterns often show up right before an older adult gets exploited by a con artist. The system can't always tell the difference between you learning something new and you being taken advantage of. And that's exactly why so many honest, careful people are getting caught in these freezes without ever having done anything wrong.
Here's another one that catches people off guard completely. In over 30 states now, tellers themselves have new legal cover to freeze your account on the spot if something about your visit strikes them as off. Maybe you seem a little nervous. Maybe you came in with someone the teller hasn't seen with you before, even if that person is a trusted friend or a new caregiver. Under these safe harbor laws, that teller can place a hold right then and there and report the situation, and they cannot be held liable for doing it, even if it turns out to be a completely innocent situation. I understand why this exists. Financial abuse of seniors by caregivers and so-called friends is a real and heartbreaking problem. But if you're an independent, capable adult who simply brought a neighbor along for a ride to the bank, you can suddenly find yourself locked out of your own account with no warning at all. And there's one more trigger I have to tell you about, because it's the one that surprises people the most. If you have a savings account you rarely touch, maybe a rainy day fund you've had for years, sitting there quietly earning a little interest, banks are now flagging those accounts as dormant if you haven't personally logged in or made a manual withdrawal within 12 to 24 months. And here's the kicker. Automatic deposits, like interest payments, don't count as activity anymore under a lot of these new state rules. That means the very account you were being responsible by not touching, the one you were saving for an emergency, could get frozen and eventually routed toward the state as unclaimed property, all without you ever doing anything wrong. You worked hard to build that safety net. The last thing you should have to worry about is the bank quietly taking it away from you because you didn't log in often enough.
Now, I promised you the payoff, and here it is. Because this is the piece of information that can genuinely change how all of this plays out for you. There is one simple, free step you can take at your bank right now that can cut a 2-week freeze down to a 15-minute phone call. It's called designating a trusted contact person. This is not the same thing as giving someone power of attorney, and it does not give that person any access to your money or your account whatsoever. All it does is give your bank someone they're allowed to call to verify that you're safe and that a transaction is legitimate. If your account gets flagged and put on hold, instead of waiting 2 weeks for an internal investigation to run its course, your bank can simply call your designated trusted contact, your son, your daughter, a close friend, your attorney, whoever you choose. Confirm that the transfer is exactly what it looks like, ordinary, expected, and yours, and lift the hold almost immediately. People who have this in place are watching their frozen funds get released in minutes. People who don't have it in place are stuck waiting out the full investigation, sometimes for weeks, with no way to speed it up. Setting this up takes maybe 10 minutes at your bank, and most of the time, there's no cost at all. You simply ask your bank to add a trusted contact to your account, and you provide their name and phone number. That's it. And once it's there, it sits quietly in the background, doing nothing at all, until the one day you actually need it. And on that day, it can save you from weeks of frustration, missed bills, and sleepless nights.
There's a second thing worth doing too, and it costs you nothing but a phone call. If you know you have a larger transaction coming up, maybe a wedding gift, maybe a down payment for a grandchild, maybe just a bigger transfer than usual, call your bank 48 hours ahead of time and tell them exactly what's coming. Give them the amount, who it's going to, and why. Banks call this pre-clearing a transaction, and it puts you on their radar as a verified, expected customer, instead of a red flag waiting to happen. It's a small step, but it can be the difference between a smooth transaction and a frozen account right when you need your money the most. And here's something else I want you to hold on to. If you have an account you rarely use, don't just let it sit there silently for years at a time. Once a year, log in. Make a small manual transaction if you can. Even just moving $5 between accounts counts as activity in most systems.
It keeps that account alive in the eyes of the bank and protects the money you worked so hard to set aside. I want you to really think about something for a moment. You spent decades of your life working, saving, being careful, being responsible with your money so that when you reached this stage of life, you could finally breathe a little easier. You didn't do anything wrong. You don't deserve to be treated like a suspect by an algorithm that's never met you, doesn't know your story, and can't tell the difference between a scammer and a grandmother helping her grandson with tuition. But right now, that's exactly the system you're living inside of, whether it feels fair or not. The good news is you don't have to just hope you never get caught in it. You can take real, simple steps today, setting up a trusted contact, keeping your accounts active, giving your bank a heads up before big transactions that put you back in control instead of leaving you at the mercy of a 14-day hold.
If this video opened your eyes to something you didn't know about your own bank account, please don't keep it to yourself. Think about your spouse, your sister, your brother, your best friend from church, anyone in your life who's over 60 and has a bank account of their own, which, let's be honest, is probably almost everyone you know. Send them this video. It might feel like a small thing, but for someone who ends up frozen out of their account with no warning, having already set up a trusted contact could be the thing that saves their entire week or even their entire month. And if you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button right now, because there's more coming that the banks, the government, and the mainstream news outlets aren't in a hurry to explain to you in plain language. You've earned the right to understand what's happening with your own money. All I'm trying to do is make sure you actually get that understanding in words that make sense from someone who's on your side. Take care of yourself, take care of your money, and I'll see you in the next one.